Hey everyone, this is Jacob from RoboFlow. Today we're going to talk about 10 tactics to build a better model with YOLOv4. So this is a video on how to get the most out of the YOLOv4 repository and assumes that you've already trained a model in YOLOv4. And if you haven't, then I recommend taking a look at our video on training YOLOv4, which I will link below. But now we're going to dive in and kind of really get into the repository and see how we can get the most out of YOLOv4. So for a little background, the YOLOv4 repo is a repo that trains state-of-the-art object detector on your custom data. So you're able to put in your own data to recognize your own objects, and then it will create an object detector for you that will recognize the objects that you want. Now, this training process can be a little bit scientific, and there's a lot of levers that you want to pull as you're going through your training process. So to pull those levers in the most efficient manner, we have written a guide here on how to use YOLOv4 to get the most out of your different training procedures. So now we're going to kind of go through tactic by tactic, and we'll actually dive into the code a little bit too to kind of see the different tactics that we are talking about implementing here. So the first step, and this is just kind of a general step for all machine learning, is to gather more data. So you want to make your object detector have a wide array of exposure to different objects and different angles and different ways that the things that you want it to detect can manifest themselves. This will allow the model to generalize the most. So gathering more data is good, but it's also expensive. And oftentimes, you don't have the time to do it, or you want to try to get the best model that you can out of the data set that you have. Well, the solution to that is image preprocessing and augmentation. So this allows you to actually make more augmentations from the images that you have in your training pipeline, and then you can kind of generate this data set, a larger data set from the base images, and then this will allow you to kind of make a bigger data set from a smaller one, which makes the training a little better sometimes. And one way to do that is through RoboFlow. So we have some tools in our process here that allow you to do image preprocessing and augmentations in a very efficient manner. So maybe if you've seen our other tutorials on how to train YOLOv4, you've already been through this flow. But this is essentially a platform where you can come in and basically you can get images like this chest data set here, and you can augment your images here and then export and then put it into the training notebook. So I will also link this training notebook below, and this is kind of where we're going to start going into some more advanced tactics beyond the data preparation. So after you've done everything you think you can on prepping your data, and I definitely recommend going through these steps and iterations. So you're working on your custom detector, but you're taking steps. So you're making changes to the data set, you're making changes to the model, and to track all these things to try to get the best performance you can, and just going through that process of slowly tweaking things here, and seeing which thing is gonna end up giving you the best performance that you can find on your data set. So the third tactic is to increase the input resolution size. So this is actually a really important one. The input resolution size is going to make any object detector perform better because it's able to look at more pixels. From more pixels, it can form more features. Now, the downside of input resolution, though, is that it will actually slow down your inference speed and slow down your training time. So you need to keep that in mind as you increase your input resolution size. Now, I'm going to show you here in the Darknet repo where you can actually change the input resolution size to the model, and it will change the model architecture. So here we're going through and we're setting up Darknet. We've imported a custom data set. Now, this is where we're starting to write the paths for our data. And here we're going to set up our custom training config. So now this is where some of these advanced tactics come in. You want to look in here and look at the input resolution size. So change the width and the height parameters in the way that the network is set up. And of course, have your images also be that larger size that you want them to be. One way you can do that is by resizing in RoboFlow. So for this example image here, if we wanted to resize it, you can go here and you can add the resize option and make sure that those height widths match what's in the notebook. All right, moving on to the next tactic. We have here when to use YOLOv4 pre-trained weights. So this is a really big one. So some of the hype about the state-of-the-art detectors like YOLOv4 these days is that they're using transfer learning. So they're trained first on the COCO data set, and then after the COCO data set, they're fine-tuned into your custom data. This is a really good thing, to be able to jump from a pre-trained start. But sometimes that can actually harm you. And for example, if your data is very different than the COCO data set, then you wouldn't want to start with a model that had already been fit into those features. You'd want to start with something new, something different. And so in order to do that, you can go here and you can see here that we actually call the training script with the pre-trained weights, which you download in the notebook. But if you want to not start from the pre-trained weights, you actually want to remove that line and start training fresh from weights that are randomly initialized, and you can still kind of use the rest of the training process in the same way, but not start from the pre-trained weights. So when to do this? Anytime you think your data set is a lot different than COCO, which is things like people and cars and animals and stuff. Like if you have something like where you're like scanning documents or doing aerial imagery, these are things that are a lot different than the COCO dataset. You probably don't want to start from pre-trained weights. Now, the next thing is choosing the model size and architecture. So there's YOLOv4 Tiny, and there's YOLOv4 the normal one. And I'll go ahead and link both notebooks below, but you might want to determine which one you want to use. And then furthermore, you can go into the config file, which is printed out here, and you can actually edit layers and such. This is a very advanced tactic if you want to get into like actually changing the architecture of the network in the YOLOv4 repo to fit to your custom dataset in the best possible way. I would recommend, though, experimenting first with either the large or the small model before you get into more in-depth tweaks into the config file. Now, the next tactic is picking up from a previous YOLOv4 training run. So this is a lot like pre-trained weights, except one thing you can do here is you can do your own transfer learning. So rather than calling these weights here, you can call the weights that have come out of your previous training runs. And those weights will be coming out here. We print them out. They're in the backup directory. So you'll run that training notebook, goes to the backup directory, then you can take the weights out of there and you can start from them again. So you don't have to like restart if like your computer dies or something. That just pick up from the previous training run. That's advisable. Now choosing the best model after training. So this is important. When you're going through and you're training, you will be saving weights every 1,000 iterations, and you want to choose the best model after training is finished. So there will be a best weights that comes out, which was based on your validation set MAP metric. And this is a validation that is showing basically how well your model is doing on validation data that it hasn't seen during training. Now, that's one way to kind of choose things, but you might want to take the last weights, or you may want to look at a metric that, let's say your MAP curve was kind of jagged or something. You might want to find an area that was a little bit more smooth and choose those weights. They might be a little bit more stable. Now, the next thing, this was kind of what I was mentioning earlier, in that you should be tracking your model evaluation. So as you go through and you tweak all these things like we're talking about here in the advanced tactics, you want to keep a spreadsheet of everything that you've been testing, so then you can go back through and you can pick up your training as you want. Like I believe Weights and Biases has a nice quote on this, that those who don't track training are doomed to repeat it. So track your training. The next advanced tactic number 9, is to export your YOLOv4 model. So I have a few cool ways here that you can export your model for deployment. You can export it to TF Lite, you can export it to OpenVINO, or you can export it into the TensorFlow repo. And you can get to like just normal TensorFlow save model, or you can get maybe even all the way to TFJS. I haven't done that, but there are a lot of ports that you can take your model out from YOLOv4. Now, advanced tactic number 10, optimize the inference time. So another way that you might be able to really speed up your inference time after you've trained your model is to convert it into TensorRT, and I've linked here the repo for the YOLOv4 TensorRT framework. So, in sum, those are some advanced tactics for using YOLOv4. We hope that you find this useful, and be sure to like and subscribe below and keep listening to RoboFlow videos. And that's all for today. See you all next time.